Matt Ridenour, thank you so much for joining Real Leaders today.
Thank you.
I believe you design ecosystems that help the world solve world problems. That sounds like a very ambitious goal. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work at a design innovation agency called IDEO. We've been around for 40 years now, focused on design thinking, human-centered design applied to big challenges. And we, about 10 years ago, launched an initiative focused on open innovation, essentially bringing together a bunch of change makers, innovators, entrepreneurs together to focus in on big social environmental challenges. And we have realized in the last 10 years that no one organization, no one individual can do that alone, that our big social, our big environmental challenges require us to really collaborate and to work together for a common goal, and that's what we're focused on.
Right, and what do those projects look like when they succeed?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different focus areas. We do a lot of focus in international development. We've worked with DFID and big programs around gender, youth. We focus on education a lot, education and emergency programs. I happen to be working a lot in our food systems. So we've done programs with Rockefeller Foundation previously on food waste, and we've done a lot of programming now around having a vision for the future of our food system.
Right. So a lot of people are saying that the world's problems are also the world's biggest opportunities. Would you agree with that?
I think so, yeah. If you can reframe challenges as opportunities, we kick all of our projects off with, instead of asking what's wrong, we ask how might we. We start every project with a how might we, if we were able to do something, if we were able to innovate in a new way, how might we go about that?
Right, and there's so many problems in the world right now. How do you even start? To choose which ones you're going to address first?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There are many, you can almost choose any direction and go for it. I think we see ourselves as conveners, so we focus in on a topic area that really resonates with the community and get as many people together around it, and they're actually the problem solvers and the solvers, essentially.
Right. And what has been your most recent insight in terms of collaboration that's worked for you?
Yeah, a recent insight. I think, I would say the power of vision. And what I mean by the power of vision is we're doing this program right now that we're about to launch that essentially our client had looked at a landscape of thousands of movies and media about the future and realized that 99% of those were dystopian. And the problem with, if you only see a dystopian future, then you can't build the positive future that you actually want. And if we can't vision it, then we can't believe that it's possible. And so when we think about the future, if we can have a common vision and unite around that, we can actually be moving a whole lot further, a whole lot faster together. And I think there's just real power in having a connected, united vision.
Sure. I mean, if you think back to science fiction movies like Space Odyssey 2001, the iPad appears there, and that's the 1970s.
Yeah.
So I guess, what you present today as a fantasy or a dream can actually become your next reality.
Exactly.
Are those kind of ideas that you work with as well?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what this big program that we're going to be launching is all focused on, is how do we, instead of just getting innovations, instead of just getting solutions, how do we create a common vision together for a future and then actually build it and then actually create it.
Right. And what big trends do you see for the year ahead in terms of the work that you're doing?
In the year ahead?
Yes.
Yeah, trends across kind of industry, or just
the way the world's going. What kind of innovations do you think we're going to be seeing in the next year?
Yeah, I was actually just out at a big Africa's largest food and agriculture conference, Africa Green Revolution Forum, and a lot of the focus was digitalization of farming and how supporting small shareholder farmers with mobile connectivity, connection to economies that they would have never had because they're able to now sell their products and all kind of through a mobile device. So there's a lot, I think, of trends around, digitalization that are really interesting.
And it's interesting to see that business is leading the way with innovation these days. A lot of governments have failed in supplying infrastructure to their populations, and I'm seeing a lot of businesses stepping up to take up the slack and to fill that gap. So what is your opinion on that? Are you seeing the same?
Yeah, actually, we're working right now. In fact, here at UNGA, we're announcing winners from a big consortium that we're spearheading and supporting with Starbucks and McDonald's and World Wildlife Fund, and they are literally trying to get rid of the single-use to-go coffee cup. And that's some of the biggest players in talk about corporations. That I think there's 250 billion coffee cups that are thrown away into a landfill every year around the globe. Starbucks and McDonald's are putting a stake in how do we change that, and how do we make fully compostable, plant-based, how do we do reusable cups, how do we change the model that has been kind of inherent and change how our business operates to actually support a healthier planet and future.
Right. And you're obviously very passionate about sustainable solutions for the world.
Yeah.
Where did that start? Take me back to a point in your career or when you were younger that you suddenly realized this is something you wanted to do.
Yeah, so this, on a personal note, I'll be personal about it.
Sure.
I actually had, so funny enough, my father was a Presbyterian pastor, he's retired now. Growing up in the church, I actually went and did a number of mission trips, and I went actually over to Kenya and Tanzania, got really connected there and fell in love with just the impact that was happening. We were building a couple churches and building sanitary water and a number of just development projects that I got to be part of, and that started to just spark my interest in, wow, there's really, you can see communities thrive in front of you when you're willing to kind of invest for a long-term. This was a long-term partnership that we were investing in, and there was this really cool moment I remember being out there where I thought, like, this is amazing, coming over from a totally different culture into a new one, learning as much as we can along the way with people there, and being of support, and it really just kicked me into gear of wanting to really do work like that, and that's kind of why I decided to go into social innovation.
Right. And have there been any lessons you've discovered in your work in Africa that you've brought back home to America that are equally applicable here?
Yeah, well, every time I'm there, I realize just the importance of community, and there's just such a shared relationship, shared value system, shared connection to community that I think feels lacking sometimes in where I live in San Francisco, and I think there's a lot to be learned from being together, being in relationship, investing in one another, and I also learned the power of designing with a community, not for a community. So coming in and actually learning what are the real needs here, how can we work together with local leadership in order to deliver on something that we're not just parachuting in on.
Sure. A lot of people go to business school and college to learn something and then feel they need to impose it on their market, whereas you are working with looking at what's needed on the ground first and then building the market afterwards.
Yeah, where's the need and how do we then build around that?
Right. Great. Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate you talking.
I really appreciate getting connected with you too. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that's it.